This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
And welcome in, folks, to another edition of Open Mic Night. I am your host, Noel Lukey, and on today's episode, what just happened at Ford Field on Sunday? The Lions beating the 10-3 Arizona Cardinals 30-12. We'll break down that game, and I want to talk about what this win means for the future of the Lions, because there's two different takes on this win that I think are very important that we need to discuss as well. But I'm going to be taking one of the more positive takes, that's for sure. And also a little bit of some Urban Meyer drama in Jacksonville. And I just want to talk about it a little bit and talk about how this is not the situation that the Lions are in right now. And, you know, it's reminding me a little bit of Matt Patricia in his era, but I just want to say this is not what the Lions are going through right now, especially with another first-year head coach in Dan Campbell, that's for sure. Hopefully everybody had a great weekend out there. I took a little bit of a hiatus last week. I just had some final exams at John Carroll, my first semester as a master's student, and also just a lot of busyness around the sports info office and whatnot. So really happy to be back with you guys though this week. Didn't have a chance to recap the dreadful 38-10 loss to Denver last week, but really some of that carries over to the Cardinals game, and not just the performance on the field, but some players as well. Really one, and we'll get to him a little bit later as well. Craig Reynolds, this is a guy that came in last week against Denver, and I didn't really think much of him because I remember Craig Reynolds, they call him Netflix because he was watching Netflix on his couch or something like that when the Lions called him. And this is a guy I remember from the first week of the preseason against Buffalo that he literally was introducing himself to his new teammates in the huddle during that game because, he wasn't really with them much throughout training camp. This was his first appearance, and he's saying, "Hey, how you doing, guys? I'm Craig Reynolds," like in the huddle. So I remembered him from then. He spent the entire season on the practice squad. They had to bring him up against Denver because Jamal Williams was out and Swift was out as well. And, the Lions are having some COVID issues and all that, just like the rest of the league seemingly has been going through. But, they've had to bring up some practice squad players, even like that tight end Zylstra. Now TJ Hawkinson is out for the year, so there's going to have to be some more tight ends that step up. And Craig Reynolds, he did a decent job. He ran for about 75 yards, and you could tell he was running hard. Just unfortunately, Denver played the Lions defense like a fiddle. And, there was a lot of emotion in that game as well, especially for Demaryius Thomas, who just passed away a couple weeks ago. And, I can get what, I'm sure Denver was very, very pumped up to play and whatnot. But, I want to focus more on this Arizona game because I think really from the opening possession, I really felt something was different about this Lions team in this game. Because remember the first possession, they wanted the football. So they got the football to start. And they took about 7 or 8 minutes off the clock. And, they just got the field goal. But it just felt different because it was just a little bit of like a dink and dunk football. Some short throws, runs up the... the thing is they just kept getting first downs and they kept chewing time off the clock and not allowing Kyler Murray and the offense to come on the field. And you know how lethal Kyler Murray is. And I understand the Cardinals were missing some players, but the Lions were missing players too. And, they take all that time off the clock, and it's like, okay, 3-0. They take 7-8 minutes off. Let's see what the Cardinals can do. And on their first possession of the game, it was very evident to me that the 10-3 Cardinals they just didn't want to be there. They thought they were going to come in, and they were going to steamroll the Lions. Yep, we're not afraid of them. Guys, this is the NFL, okay? Mike Tomlin pointed it out before the Steelers-Lions game when they played each other about a month ago. He said, hey, it's the NFL. We have to be prepared. These are grown men playing the game. This isn't, you could have 0 wins right now and get upset because that's the NFL. The NFL is loaded with talent. And granted, I know the Lions don't have, as much talent as some other teams, but it's still the NFL. You can't take any opponent for granted. And in my opinion, that's what the Cardinals did. They took the Lions for granted. They thought they were going to walk over the Lions, walk out of Ford Field like the Buccaneers did last year. It was like 47-7 or whatever that score was. And that's it. But the Lions were prepared. They had a better game plan than the Cardinals. They outplayed the Cardinals. And with a bunch of guys that were basically getting their first cracks at the NFL, it was good to see that. It was really, really good to see. So anyways, back to that first drive. They go 3-and-out. Charles Harris gets a sack. By the way, he had a heck of a game. He's just the latest pass rusher that the Lions have that, just kind of came out of nowhere. They had that with Romeo Okwara in the past. They had that, remember, with Kerry Hyder. He former first-round pick in 2017. I really don't know what happened with him. I don't know why he faded, but he seems to have found some sort of rhythm right now. I would try to extend him. I mean, he's shown enough promise. Why not? So 3-and-out, and the Lions go down and scored a touchdown on their next drive. Just bing, bang, boom. Jared Goff hit Amon-Ra St. Brown with a beautiful throw in stride for, I think it was a 33-yard touchdown or something like that. St. Brown, he's another guy that I think definitely could be part of this Lions team in the future. I mean, he's getting a lot more catches. He's getting a lot more targets. And he's a guy that I think the Lions definitely need to work in the game plan more. And they have really the last couple weeks. He had the big touchdown against Minnesota to win. I think, especially with all these receivers being out, I think just creating more game plan. And you've even seen him a couple times in the backfield. You talk about the Niners running Deebo Samuel out of the backfield. They're trying to get St. Brown in the backfield, and then that, I think what they're trying to do there is trying to create mismatches because some plays, you're matched up with a linebacker. So if they can get a linebacker on St. Brown, that's a mismatch all day. I think that's what they're trying to do there with those times that St. Brown lines up in the backfield with Jared Goff. But, they scored on that touchdown, and then I believe the Lions forced another 3-and-out. It just something felt different. But however, there was still that little bit of concern in the back of my head. I'll admit it. When are the Cardinals going to catch fire? Are we just going to see the same old Lions? They're going to have a lead. They're going to choke. And what kind of did it for me was when Kyler Murray was picked off. I don't know what kind of throw that was from Kyler. It just looked like a lazy throw. He just was like, I'm just going to sling it to the side and see what happens. And Amani Oruwariye was in perfect position. And if you watch the replay, he dove for that interception, and none of those Cardinals that were near him even tried to tackle him. They just let him run all the way down to the 5-yard line. I think it was James Conner that brought him down. But from that point on, and then they scored on the next play, right away, to Jason Kabinda. I knew that the Lions were going to win that game. As soon as that happened, I says, "There's no way we're letting this. We're letting them lose, or we're going to lose. There's no way." And they proved it. The Cardinals did not want to be there. They didn't act like it. And I gotta credit Dan Campbell and this Lions team. There's a lot of teams in the NFL, and it's happened throughout history where, if you have 1-2 wins, a lot of the players just start quitting at the end of the season. I think we saw that a lot with Matt Patricia, with those guys just quitting at the end. Guys just don't want to be there. But the thing is that I think this team's a little different because those guys are playing hard. And I understand some of these guys probably won't be here next year because a lot of these guys are practice squad players. That's the thing. A lot of these guys just popped up the last couple weeks for the Lions because of all these guys out. But a band of brothers together, they go beat a 10-3 Cardinals team with playoff aspirations. I mean, this team is trying to lock up a 1 seed here. It's not like the Cardinals have nothing to play for. Cliff Kingsbury's playing for his job as well. I'm telling you, if the Cardinals choke away their lead at the NFC West, I bet he's out. I mean, every December, last couple years, it seems like they've been choking it away, missing the playoffs. Very, very interesting here. A couple of historical notes for you. How about this? The last couple Lions coaches versus teams with that are 5 or more games above 500. Jim Schwartz, he was 0-10 in his career as a Lions coach. Jim Caldwell was 0-8. Matt Patricia was 0-2. Darrell Bevell was 0-2. And now Dan Campbell is 1-0 versus teams that are 5 or more games above 500. How about Jared Goff also? And we'll get to him a little bit later, but he's now 8-1 in his career against the Cardinals. How about that? 8-1. He just continues to pick these guys apart. Also, it's the first time in NFL history that a team with 1 or fewer wins beat a team with 10 or more wins by double digits. Wow. Impressive. And they beat him by 18. And Pistons on Sunday, they broke their 14-game losing streak. They beat the Heat 190. 14-game losing streak, that was tied for the worst in franchise history. Last time the Pistons and the Lions won on the same day by double digits. Pistons won by 10, Lions won by 18. Last time that happened on the same day, October 28th, 1973. The Pistons beat Seattle 115-93. Dave Bing had 21 points. Dave Bing. Wow. And the Lions beat the Packers 34-0. And how about this? Alty Taylor had 160 rushing yards. You're going back 48 years since the Lions and the Pistons won on the same day. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Just a little bit of a history lesson for some of you guys with how meaningful this was for the Lions. I told you in the teaser I get to a little bit of so people have different takes on this game because the Lions don't have the number 1 overall pick. The tie, they're now ahead of they're now behind Jacksonville. Jacksonville has the number 1 pick because of the tie. Lions sit at 2-11-1. Jacksonville sitting at 2-12. So the Lions have the number 2 pick. So there's 2 takes here. One is, screw the Lions. They always mess it up. They don't have the number 1 overall pick anymore. Why should I be happy with this win? This meaningless win. There's another take where, who cares about draft position? The Lions need this for the future. And I go with the latter. Look, is it nice to get the number 1 overall pick? Yeah. There's 3 games left. They still could get the number 1 overall pick, depending on how they do against Atlanta, Seattle, and Green Bay. There's still a chance. Nothing's set in stone yet. Is it nice? Yes. But the Lions are still going to get a top 5 player in the NFL draft. They're still going to do it. The other thing, too, is when you talk about building for the future, and I get it. I understand that there's not really much carryover in the NFL between one season and the next. There's not. But the thing with me, though, is I see this as more of a future builder. You needed a win like this because, first of all, this is a good Arizona Cardinals team. I mean, 10-plus wins. They're a playoff team. We needed to be making improvements in the second half of the season. It might not transfer in wins, but there's been some close games. We've talked about it before on the podcast. The Denver game, I'm not including in this conversation. That was a fluke, 38-10. Look at those other games. The tie against Pittsburgh, the 2-point loss to the Browns, the game-winning field goal loss to the Bears on Thanksgiving. These are some games that are after the bye week. And then, we cannot forget about the first Minnesota game, losing on the game-winning field goal, losing on a 66-yard field goal to Baltimore. There's been some close games this year. Think about it. If the Lions would have won those games, we wouldn't be talking about the number 1 overall pick right now. The Lions need to show improvement. And look, Dan Campbell is still making some stupid mistakes. Now, I will say, credit to him, I didn't really think of any of his decisions as being stupid. Even like the onside kick at the beginning of the game, after the touchdown, you got to do it early. That's what they did against the Rams, trying to throw guys off guard. I was a little scared for a minute because of how short the field was, but the fact that he trusted his defense, the defense held up. He got 3 and out. Okay, trusting the guys. That was about the only borderline, I thought, maybe not in that situation. But everything else, I thought for a minute they were going to go for it on 4th down at the beginning of the game. They didn't. They let the clock run down, took the delay of game, backed it up a little bit, but it didn't matter because they were close enough, and Riley Patterson knocked it down. There weren't many times in that game where I was just like, another bonehead play. If these final 3 games, Dan Campbell continues to not have these mistakes, if we play a game like we did against the Cardinals, I see next year being bright for the Lions, and I understand a lot of these players are probably going to be gone. Are we going to? Craig Reynolds will not be the starting running back. Godwin Igwebuike. Who knows if Josh Reynolds will be here? Khalif Raymond. Who knows? A lot of these guys they'll probably end up getting rid of. But it just proves that even with a bunch of guys off the practice squad, the Lions can still win a game, a solid win against a playoff Cardinals team late in the season. I haven't felt this good about a Lions win since they beat the Patriots on Sunday Night Football in 2018. And I was a little bit like, okay, this is early for the Patriots. They usually lose their games early and then win out the rest of the season. But this was against a Cardinals team late in the season, for the playoff push. I'm happy for it, and I think it just proves that Dan Campbell's just getting better at some of his play calls. He's getting better at some of his coaching. If this can continue on, the Lions are just going to get better and better, and especially if they start bringing in more guys. And I think too, this could be a sign for some free agents coming. And I know Detroit's not a popular destination for free agents, but if a free agent sees that a 2-11 team is still playing, that hard for a guy, a meaningless game against the Cardinals, and they go out and just dominate them from start to finish. If I'm a free agent, I might say, you know what? There might be something special. You just be patient, get some guys in. And something might happen. I think it's possible. Now, I want to see them play well against these last 3 games. Falcons, Seahawks, Packers. We'll see. I mean, that Week 18 game, the Packers, they might be resting some starters depending on if they have the 1 seed or not. But it's gonna be interesting to see, I think, how the Lions finish out. TJ Hawkinson out for the year. It looks like Alex Anzalone, the defensive leader at middle linebacker, will be out for the year as well. So, there's going to have to be more guys to step up. And, with the COVID situation with the league, you just never know, who's going to be out each week. It's more of like a next man up mentality. So we're going to have to see. By the way, I do want to talk about Jared Goff. Like we mentioned, 21 of 26, 216 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, this guy had I think a 139.7 quarterback rating. Craig Reynolds, Netflix Reynolds, 112 yards on the ground. Remember how long it was? This is the best Lions rushing attack that they've had since 1997 statistically, when Barry Sanders rushed for over 2,000 yards. Remember how long it took for the Lions to actually have a 100-yard rusher? Reggie Bush in 2013 was the last runner before Kerryon Johnson in 2018. There was a little bit of a dry spell. Then Swift had a couple. And then now I think the Lions have had 3 or 4 100-yard rushing performances or something along those lines. This is the best the Lions have ran the football in over 20 years. And when a practice squad guy, Craig Reynolds, can get over 100 yards, I think that's saying something. As you mentioned, St. Brown, Josh Reynolds. Back to Jared Goff. I'm still not a believer. I still don't think he's the long-term answer. But, I mean, boy, has he improved the last couple weeks. Now, I don't know, maybe he was struggling because I know that shoulder was bothering him. I don't know if it was just because of the injury or whatnot. But even with surrounding guys, even if you come in and bring a whole bunch of receivers in and running back, more talent to surround with him, I don't think he's the guy. You think about why the Rams wanted to let him go. You can't do as much with Jared Goff. That's why they wanted Stafford. Stafford adds a whole new other element to the Rams offense. Goff can't push the ball down the field like Stafford can. And in the modern NFL, you need a quarterback that can push that ball down the field. You can't win consistently with a guy like Jared Goff, especially on a team like the Lions. So don't worry, guys. Not after a couple games, I'm not like, okay, I want Jared Goff back. No. I'm still not a believer in him. But I will give him credit. He's played well the last couple weeks. And we'll see what happens after next season, because I believe his contract is only for 2 years, and then the Lions can cut him for nothing if they want. And then we'll see, if they decide to draft a quarterback and whatnot. We'll get to more draft talk later on as well. But 30-12, I'm happy, and I think it means a lot for the future. Even though a lot of these guys, maybe won't be here. I just need to see improvement, though. I need to see improvement the rest of the season, into free agency, for the draft. I just need to see the Lions building. I don't want to see them, and this is it. This is the highest they'll go. I'm willing to give Dan Campbell another chance. He just can't continue to make the same mistakes as he's done in previous games. Now, Arizona, good. Not many mistakes. But let's hope that he doesn't continue to mismanage his timeouts, still have personnel problems. How about guys not going off sides on the fourth down? No penalties on fourth downs or third downs. Got to be a little more disciplined in those aspects. But overall, very good job from the Lions. Very good. Also, I do want to quickly mention about Urban Meyer. So the Jaguars have fired Urban Meyer. They did last week. No surprise. I mean, when you had that affair at the bar in Columbus, at that one girl, it just kind of all spiraled downhill from there. And now there's reports of guys like the kicker Josh Lambo saying that he was kicked by Urban Meyer at practice, and there's just a lot of guys that are not happy with him. And then how Urban said something like about, I'm the boss. This is how I run things. Like, you listen to me, basically. That's just power. That's like a power thing. And, one of my pet peeves is power. I can't stand those people, those coaches that really exert their power on people, especially when they haven't done anything, when they haven't proven anything in the NFL. Urban has never coached a year in his life in the NFL. And he's going around acting like, he runs the place and can control these grown men. This isn't college anymore, Urban. And here's the other thing, too. It made me think. They did those college football 150 things, those documentaries on ESPN a couple years ago. And Urban Meyer's sitting there talking. They're talking about Woody Hayes. And they're talking about how coaching has sort of evolved. And, I remember he was talking about how Woody Hayes was a very hands-on coach. And a lot of the things that Woody Hayes did back then, you can't really get away with now. And he says, I've really changed my coaching style where I haven't been as hands-on because of the, But, Urban, how about you practice what you preach? Okay? Why are you still hands-on with guys and kicking them? And, you said that, and that's stuff Woody would do. You said Woody wouldn't, that stuff that Woody did isn't acceptable today. So why are you doing it? It doesn't make sense. But I do want to say just a little bit of put a little Lions twist on this. Matt Patricia, we obviously know there was a lot of problems with him. Players were rebelling. This is a similar situation in Jacksonville, but you don't see that in Detroit. You don't see Dan Campbell walking in there acting like I'm the boss, because Dan Campbell, he hasn't proven anything as a head coach. He's a player's coach. He's played in the NFL. He's coached in the NFL. He gets what these guys are going through. Urban Meyer doesn't. He didn't play in the NFL. He didn't coach in the NFL. Very different situations. And people love playing for Dan Campbell despite the 2-11-1 record. Jacksonville 2-12. What's happening? Chaos. There's no chaos here with the Lions. People still play hard for Dan Campbell. Fans still have all the adulation he's getting from around the league. So much support from people. You don't see that with Urban Meyer. You don't see anyone supporting Urban Meyer right now. People are supporting Dan Campbell. Two teams with basically the same record, but two very different situations, both with first-year head coaches. One was fired, didn't work out. There were rumors. Not rumors, but remember people wanted Dan Campbell to be fired after some of those in-game mistakes. But now, I think that's changed a little bit. I think now more fans are giving him a little bit of time, see what Brad Holmes, Chris Spielman, and company can do with free agency, with the draft. And let's see if the Lions can just build a winner. That's something that this town has lacked for a long time. A Detroit team has not won a playoff series since 2013, or a playoff game since 2013. Pistons, Wings, Lions, Tigers. 2013. Lions need to see some sort of improvement. And at least if the coaching staff and company are able to develop a plan, even with these practice squad players, if they can do this with practice squad players, imagine what they can do with real NFL talent. Getting these free agents, better draft picks. Imagine it. We'll see. I'm excited. Be sure to check out all the other great content on the podcast network. The Doc and Jock podcast, always one of my favorites to listen to. Practice Squad, a very funny podcast with Adam the Jock Strozinski. Also, the wrestling podcast, the Michigan podcast, the Michigan and Georgia coming up. Well, we're going to talk about that game in a couple weeks, that's for sure, on some other episodes. And also, the Fan Report, doing a great job, as always. A lot of Lions talk, and, of course, their Pistons talk. I'm sure they're elated right now that their Pistons broke that 14-game losing streak, and they beat the Heat 190 on Sunday. But we'll be back next week, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of Lions talk, and make sure to always follow John Macaroon with his SI Lions, doing a fantastic job covering the Lions this season. I'm sure he had a lot to talk about in that victory over the Cardinals. Thanks again, folks, for tuning in, and make sure to tune in next week only on Open Mic Night.